Hello and peace, love, and light, everyone. I hope all is well. This is your girl, Serena Wills, and welcome to another segment of Literary Artistry with none other than Serena Wills. So, for those who don't know who I am or are new to this, I am a self-published author, a poet, a spoken word artist, and a publishing coach. I love teaching workshops and classes on the self-publishing process, on poetry and how to write certain forms of poetry, and lots of other areas. So today, we're going to have a poetry reading. All right, we're going to have a kind of like an open mic. All right. So I wanted to share with all of you, these are three new poems. Well, they're not new to me, but they're going to be new to you. Because I have four poetry books out and counting. Book five, Reconstruction, Piece of Life, Volume One, the 10th anniversary edition is coming out summer 2025. So these poems are actually poems I wrote during the height of the pandemic, and they're going to be in a whole separate book. The book is titled Poetry in the Pandemic, Poems Out of Pieces. So stay tuned for that book to debut and drop in 2026. So I figure I'd just take a moment, slow it down, and share some poetry, and share different forms of poetry as well. So this first poem is titled I Am Rain, and it's part one. There's a part two to I Am Rain, but I'm going to only do part one today. And this is also from my lovely class I took. Y'all probably are like, she talks about this writing to wellness class enough. I wrote this particular, actually, the next three poems I'm going to read in the Writing to Wellness class. And our writing prompt for that evening was describe yourself in the form of weather, rain, tsunami, a blizzard, hurricane, tornado, sandstorm, etc. Describe yourself in the form of weather. So I describe myself as rain. All right. So let's get into it. Like rain, poetic verses, lyrically cleansing those in pain, whose spirits and souls are stained with grief, sadness, anger, depression, and even those who are bitter. Rain pouring down like a hot summer day, where the clouds break open to relieve those who've been hot and flustered from all the intense heat. Like rain, I can be gentle as a warm evening drizzle for those who need a gentle reminder that joy will come. At times, I could pour down buckets of verses, drenching people in my creativity. Divine storm at its best for healing, leaving them to wade in the water, continually raining until they let go and know that God or their divine one is still in control. I bring the rain, streams of water racing off of rooftops and gutters, flooding the streets and sidewalks, purifying those who even have a bitter heart with my poetic testimonies. Whether raining on people gently, poetically, storming with fury, using my past hurt to share a story with many who are in need of exhaling and overdue healing. Right? Snap it up for myself in the poetry world. If you are new to poetry, you go to an open mic or an event, you snap it up for the poet, okay? So that is I Am Rain Part 1. I actually wrote what made me write this poem because I write a note to myself at the end, also share my testimony with people. And I wrote This was written June 12th, 2022, after a very bitter person tried to verbally attack me. I could have lashed out, but instead I pray for their healing, and then I wrote some poetry. All right? When they go low, I go high, in the words of the great Michelle Obama. All right, that is I Am Rain. All right, so now we're going to move into another form of poetry. This is called a tanka. A tanka is a Japanese form of poetry. There are over 50 forms of poetry globally and counting. And a tanka, what is a tanka? It's spelled Tanka, which is a 5-7-5-7-7 poem, which means 5 syllables, 7 syllables, etc. So when you're writing, I feel like a kindergartner when I clap out the syllables. Sometimes when I'm writing a poem that has syllables, haikus also use syllables as well. So this is titled You Were Nothing But a Desert Season. Mm. Facade too good to be true, painted cracks seal, trying to hide what is still broken under the layers of plaster and paint. I have watered you long enough, wondering why your flowers would die after a short period because you chose to keep weeds. Well ran dry for you. You are not worth nurturing, not recognizing desert seasons in your life, dry bones, not waking. Mm. That is titled You Were Nothing But a Desert Season. All right. And that is a Tonka poem. So look that up and try it out. Try writing a Tonka and clap it out if you need to. Okay. Take it back to kindergarten, first grade, primary school days. All right. So this next poem is titled As the Moon Turns. Okay, remember that soap opera, y'all, As the World Turns? So I titled mine As the Moon Turns. This is a metaphor poem. The writing prompt. Get this, y'all. The moon divorcing the sun. Can you imagine? It's if the moon and the sun are like, I'm not talking to you anymore. Yes, as the moon turns. All right, let's get into it. You were once my everything, source of energy, feeding me molecularly, despite not having much in common and being in a long distance relationship for millennials. I still loved you, thriving off of how you pop into my life daily, despite the amount of stars that sometimes got in our way, causing distractions because of their jealousy towards us. Not my fault they aren't as big and bold as me. However, you've hurt me, burned me in ways unimaginable, throwing in my face that you outshine me, liked by many, sending out flares, and for what? Just to get attention from others. I may not be as cool as Saturn, red like Mars, or suave like Pluto. I am who I am. I thought you loved me unconditionally. No longer will I withstand the negativity, being treated indifferently. Feelings of rejections burns right through me. as you are eyeballing those who you think can bring you more than me, constantly diminishing my dreams of us being together for eternity. Deserving better has been something I believe for years, never having the courage to leave. I'll always love you, but from afar, cherishing once fond memories. You may shine brightly on the outside to many, but deep down, I've seen darkness prevail, lashing out on me. Heat as hot as solar bursts. Please don't bother to call, text, or send messages through the stars because I am done. Starting over with a new love called self love, a love I lost long ago. This is my goodbye to you, my precious and beloved son. And son is SUN. So that is, ooh, yeah, let's snap and all of that. Okay. That is As the Moon Turns. That is a metaphoric poem. And for many, y'all are like, ooh, that hit home. And she was talking about the moon and the sun. Can you imagine if the moon and sun had a relationship like that? And that poem, I wrote that from, as a poet, we share what we go through poetically, what we've been through to help healing. It helps healing ourselves, but others hear it and they don't feel alone anymore. And they too can now start the healing process. Some of us are like that poem. As the moon turns, we stay too long. And even though the other one has burned us, hurt us, different ways, it could be a lashing out verbally, for some, unfortunately, physically. Some, it could be dishonesty, whatever the case may be. And we still keep giving them chance after chance after chance. And we don't realize that it's time for us to go. It's time for us to heal. And it's time for us to revisit that old love called self love. We should always have self love, period. In a relationship, out of relationship, as a parent, a guardian, no matter what your title is, you need to love yourself. All right. So I'm hoping as the moon turns, really just sparked something in someone, or just someone saying, wow, I'm not alone in this. I'm going to backtrack. I said I had a part two to I Am Rain. So I'm going to read part two to I Am Rain. I'm not going to leave it for next season. I won't do that to y'all. Okay. So this is I Am Rain part two. Let the rain pour on you, cleanse you from head to toe, internally sweeping through you so you can begin healing. I bring the rain, helping those during times of grief, sadness, anger, and sometimes bitterness and absolute pain. Let go and know they are not in control. Let Him, the Divine One, lead the way, praying that they will move forward towards their healing through the poetic and divine rain. So part two is kind of like flipping part one around. Oh yeah, let's do the snaps. Yep. I don't have my audience here, so I have to do my own snaps, okay? But if y'all are out there, I hope you're doing snaps for me. But there are many people out there. As I said, I wrote that poem because there was, unfortunately, I went through some malicious attacks verbally in 2022. Um, I don't mind sharing. And I could have done multitude of things. Thank goodness I'm in my right frame of mind. Okay. But I took it to the poetic streets and I wrote poetry. And I earnestly prayed for that person. And now we are years later. I see how that person's hurting, who hurt that person. And that's like a defense mechanism that they have. It doesn't make it right. It does not make it right. But at the same time, I'm still praying. You could pray for someone, but you could also part. Okay. So I've prayed for them and just hope for the best for them. All right. So that is my time for today. For those who are like, oh, wait, what's the name of that poetry book coming out? Poetry in the Pandemic, Poems Out of Pieces. And that is coming out in 2026. Now, I would love to ask the audience this question. All right. And also give y'all a challenge. I have a Pieces of Life series. I have 3 books in the series so far: Reconstruction, The Awakening, and Artist Paradise. Should I add this to the Pieces of Life series or should it be a standalone? Let me know in the comments. Also, you're probably like, oh, she said a challenge. What is the challenge now? All right. So the challenge is I encourage y'all to start writing. Some of you are out there hurting. Um, there's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on in life, period. You can turn the news on for 5 minutes and feel overwhelmed. Um, there are people grieving. There are people who have lost loved ones back to back to back. People who cannot, they're trying to pay their bills. They're trying to raise kids. Write it out. Get your feelings out onto paper and let one poem turn into two, two turn into three, three turn into four or more. If you're not a poet and say, I just want to write a story, then write a story. Write the story. I challenge you. Between now and the end of 2025, we have a few months left, y'all. It's halftime. Okay. We have a few months left. I have a dear soror, Terry Crook, and she has a wonderful book. Halftime. It's halftime. But it's not too late. Don't put it off to 2026. Start writing the book. And you can start with saying, let me get these feelings out onto paper. And you feel so much better. And it helps the healing process. All right. So I want to hear from you. Let me know how you're doing with that writing. All right. So that is my time for today. If you would like to reach out, see what I'm doing, see how you could register for workshops and classes that I have coming up, book signings, and so much more. Um, reach out to me. I am across social media platforms at Divine Wryte, all one word, and Wryte is spelled Wryte. Don't forget that Y. That is my spoken word and stage name. It's also the name of my health and wellness coaching practice. And also on Facebook, it's Serena Wills. That was the one platform I did it backwards. But it's okay. SerenaWills is all one word. Or you can check me out on my website, serenawills.com, SerenaWills.com, and check me out. I'm going to have poetry workshops coming up in the fall, self-publishing workshops coming up. So stay tuned. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope those poems blessed somebody, spoke to somebody, and that they help you. And for those who are like, I have that person in my life, or I had that person in my life that really just didn't treat me right, you can let them go. But you also deserve to heal. And I want you to write it out and get it out and to feel better. All right? So many blessings. Take good care and bye for now. One love.